AI-generated books are one of the biggest controversies in Amazon KDP right now. Some people say they're flooding Amazon with low-quality books. Others say this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for KDP authors. Millions of people have an opinion. Very few have actual data. A few days ago, I was scrolling through Instagram when something caught my attention. It was a post from The Economist. The title was simple: AI-generated books are on the rise. The graph showed something surprising. According to the post, Amazon was publishing more than 300,000 new ebooks every month by the end of 2025. Before ChatGPT was released, that number was closer to 100,000 books per month. The caption also claimed that researchers had analyzed these books using an AI detection tool and concluded that chatbots were largely responsible for the increase. My first thought was, how could they possibly know that? Anyone can look at Amazon and say there are more AI books, but proving it with data is a completely different story. So instead of taking the graph at face value, I wanted to know where these numbers actually came from. Then I noticed something interesting. Right below the graph, The Economist cited the original source. It wasn't their own research. The data came from an academic paper by economists Imke Reimers and Joel Waldvogel, titled "AI and the Quantity and Quality of Creative Products. Have LLMs boosted creation of valuable books?" As I started reading the paper, I expected to find a few charts and some conclusions. Instead, I found one of the most interesting research methods I've seen in a long time. Because think about it. How would you answer a question like this? How many ebooks are actually being published on Amazon? How many of them were written with AI? Are AI books better or worse than human-written books? And has AI actually changed Amazon KDP? Those sound like impossible questions, but the researchers managed to answer them. If you're curious about the answers to these questions, make sure you watch until the end, because in this video you won't hear opinions or assumptions. You'll see the actual numbers, the real data, and the methodology behind the research. Here's how they did it. The first thing they needed was the total number of ebooks Amazon was publishing every month. To collect that data, they used Amazon Advanced Book Search. They searched for English language ebooks. Then they filtered the results by publication month and by category. Not just for one month, not just for one category. They repeated this process across all 30 Amazon book categories, covering every month from January 2020 through December 2025. That sounds simple enough. But there was a problem. Amazon doesn't let you download every result. Even if a search returns tens of thousands of books, you can only access a limited number of result pages. So they couldn't simply scrape every title. Instead, they used a statistical method called random sampling. Imagine you're trying to understand what's happening in an entire forest. You don't need to inspect every single tree. If you randomly sample enough areas, you can get a very accurate picture of the whole forest. That's exactly what they did. Across every category and every month, they randomly selected books until they built a dataset containing more than 330,000 titles. That sample represented approximately 10 million ebooks published on Amazon between 2020 and 2025. Now they knew how publishing volumes had changed, but that still didn't answer the next question. Were readers actually interested in these books? Obviously, nobody is going to read hundreds of thousands of books and score them one by one. So instead, the researchers looked at signals that already exist on Amazon. Things like the number of customer ratings, average star ratings, book prices, and Amazon sales rankings. To collect that information, they use the ASIN Data API. Every Amazon book has its own unique identifier called an ASIN. Using each book's ASIN, they pulled updated information from the API, including customer ratings, review counts, prices, and sales rankings. Those numbers became a practical way of estimating how readers responded to each book. At this point, they knew how many books were being published. They also had a way to estimate how successful those books were. But there was still one huge question left. Which books actually contained AI-generated text? This is probably my favorite part of the entire paper. The researchers randomly selected more than 48,000 books from their dataset. Then they downloaded each book's preview text from Amazon, usually around the first 1,000 words. Those previews were then analyzed using Penguin Labs' AI detector. The detector estimates how much of a text appears to be AI generated. A book could be classified as fully human, fully AI generated, or somewhere in between. For this study, the researchers classified every book that wasn't considered fully human as an AI book. Now they finally had everything they needed. They knew how many ebooks Amazon was publishing. They knew how readers responded to those books. And they knew which books appeared to contain AI-generated content. Only then did they start looking at the results. And honestly, some of the numbers surprised me. So, what did they find? The first result was impossible to miss. From the beginning of 2020 until the second half of 2022, Amazon was publishing roughly 100,000 new ebooks every month. Then ChatGPT was released. During 2023, the number of new books started climbing. It kept growing throughout 2024. Then in 2025, the growth accelerated even more. By the end of the year, Amazon was publishing more than 300,000 new ebooks every month. In just 3 years, monthly ebook releases had nearly tripled. But the growth wasn't the same across every category. Some nonfiction categories experienced explosive growth. Travel saw the biggest jump, with new releases increasing by 9.1 times compared to 2022. Sports and outdoors grew by 6.9 times. Self-help increased by 5.3 times. And computers and technology grew by 4.5 times. Then I looked at the next figure in the paper. The researchers compared those publishing numbers with the results from Penguin Labs' AI detector. The pattern was almost impossible to ignore. Between 2020 and 2022, detected AI was basically zero. During 2023, around 30% of newly published books contained detectable AI. That number increased to around 45% in 2024. And by 2025, more than 60% of newly released books contained detectable AI. The categories with the fastest publishing growth also tended to have the highest percentage of AI-generated books. For example, travel and computers and technology had some of the highest AI shares. Meanwhile, comics and graphic novels had one of the lowest. At this point, the first question had been answered. Yes, large language models dramatically increased the number of books being published on Amazon. But quantity is only half of the story. The next question was even more important. What happened to quality? This is where things became much more interesting. On average, books containing detected AI received fewer customer ratings. They also had slightly lower average star ratings. Their sales rankings were generally worse, and they were usually sold at lower prices than books written entirely by humans. So yes, the study does find evidence supporting concerns about low-quality AI content. But then the researchers made an important point. Looking only at the average quality doesn't tell the whole story. Imagine you're planning a vacation to Italy. Before AI, there were about 100 travel guides available. Then AI comes along, and suddenly there are 300. Let's be honest. Many of those new books probably aren't very good. Some may have been created by people who have never even visited Italy. So naturally, the average quality goes down. But here's the interesting part. Among those extra 200 books, there may still be books that readers genuinely find useful. Maybe one guide recommends a small village that older travel books completely ignored. Maybe another highlights a family-owned restaurant with incredible reviews that never appeared in traditional guidebooks. Or maybe it simply organizes publicly available information in a clearer and more useful way. The point isn't that every AI-generated travel guide is great. Far from it. The point is that when you dramatically increase the number of books being published, you also increase the chances of creating books that readers actually enjoy. And that's essentially what the researchers found. The average quality of new books declined. But because there were so many more books, the number of moderately successful books also increased. To measure that effect, the researchers estimated something economists call consumer surplus. That sounds complicated, but the basic idea is simple. If readers have more useful choices available, even if many of those choices aren't perfect, readers as a whole can still benefit. According to their model, AI-generated books increased consumer welfare by about 7% in 2025. That doesn't mean AI books became better than human written books. It means the additional choice created value for readers. The researchers also looked at something I know many KDP authors are worried about. Did AI replace existing authors? Surprisingly, their answer was no. Authors who were already publishing before large language models continued publishing after AI became widely available. The biggest change wasn't that experienced authors disappeared. It was that thousands of new authors entered the market. Many of those new authors were using AI from the very beginning. Another interesting finding was that the gap between AI books and human-written books became smaller over time. AI-assisted books published in 2025 generally performed better than AI-assisted books published in 2023. In other words, authors seem to be getting better at using these tools. So what can we actually take away from this research? I don't think this paper proves that artificial intelligence is destroying publishing. And I don't think it proves that AI is replacing human authors either. What it does show is that reality is much more complicated than the headlines we see online. AI dramatically lowered the cost of creating books. That led to an explosion in new releases on Amazon. Many of those books attracted very little attention. Some were clearly low quality, but hidden inside that massive wave of new books were titles that readers genuinely found valuable. Personally, the biggest takeaway wasn't even the conclusion. It was the methodology. Instead of guessing, the researchers built a dataset representing roughly 10 million Amazon ebooks. They combined Amazon Advanced Book Search, random sampling, the ASIN Data API, and Penguin Labs AI detector to answer questions that most people thought couldn't even be measured. If you're publishing on Amazon KDP, this paper should matter to you. Because instead of arguing about whether AI is good or bad, it gives us something much more useful. Real data about what's actually happening inside the marketplace. I don't know what you think about the results of this study, so let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear your perspective. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.